Well, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Big Freakin' Friday show here on the College Football Mafia Network. I am joined tonight by Wild Ute. How you doing, Ute?
Doing excellent. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And our special guest for today, Immaculate, filling in for us. How you doing, Immaculate? Oh, he's got the liquor already.
Go Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Throwing that out?
Yeah, we got Syracuse playing tonight, Rutgers playing tonight, so I'm adding Rutgers to the drinking game as well.
Rutgers, okay.
Yeah. Just want to start off, let everybody know Nate is back home. He's in a lot of pain. He appreciates your well wishes and your thoughts and prayers. He'll be back as soon as he can, probably sooner than he needs to be. Just stay home, Nate. Rest, relax, take some pain medication for me. That's all I can really say on it. But we're going to get into picks and standings and all that stuff. Let's do some shout-outs. I see we got some people in here already. Ryan Willie first in the house says, hi, CFM. Big game for Ryan Willie. On Wisconsin or fight on Trojans. Nathan Campbell says, hi, guys. How are you? We're hanging in there. Thoughts and prayers to everybody in the path of the hurricane and the fallout from the hurricane.
Right.
Jan Holk's here. Good to see you, Jan. Thanks for stopping by. Scavin, yes, says, hello, gentlemen. GBR, go Big Red. Immaculate says, go Hawks. Our friend Daniel Gygax says, hello, everyone. Good to see you,
Hello.
Daniel. Jeff Morgan says, Mountaineers checking in. Laura Weiss says, hey, y'all. Hope everyone back east is doing okay with all the flooding. We're just getting wind right here in southern Ohio right now. We're supposed to get some rain. Ricky Tungate, I will miss the show, but I will watch later. Go Hoosiers. Ricky, you got to tune in to Tuesday's show to check out my second Indiana cap.
Ooh.
Yes. I have 2 Indiana Hoosiers caps now.
You
Because
really?
Yeah. I'm collecting 17 Big Ten caps.
No
There's
Michigan
one
cap?
I will not wear a Michigan cap. No way, no how. Thank you for the super chat, Ricky. Even though you're not here, we will give you a sound effect, and we might as well get this out of the way.
They've been sucking you, sucking you, sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking
Well, you guys got the dance too.
Sucking you. You're sick of it. I get it. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you.
Thank you for the super chat, Ricky. Let's see how the Hoosiers do against Maryland. Caleb Ramirez says, hello, everyone. Good to see you, Caleb. Wonder if Moan was responsible for that Louisville Notre Dame picture. No need to wonder. Yes, I did. I put have a Louisville player stomping on a Notre Dame player.
Did you really? No.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, no.
Did?
The moment I saw it, I was like, that has Moen written all over it.
Larry the GM says, hey, guys. Good to see you, Larry the GM.
What's up?
Vox Quindaro says, rock chalk fellers. Daniel Gygax, I actually have a Mountaineers hat. Thank you. I've got a West Virginia Mountaineers hat. I've got 2 of them, actually. I will wear one on the stream for the Big 12 Mafia show next week.
Hey, so we've got Bomber actually listening in, too, on the show. So,
Okay.
hey, Bomber, well wishes. Hope the recovery is going well. My friend, hope to see you back soon.
Sure, go back real soon.
Okay. That was who texted me.
Nice.
So, yes. Thanks for watching, Nate. We don't need luck. We got skill, brother. Skill. And then Scavin, yes, says, thanks, Moen, for the sound piece. Everybody loves that sounder.
Does everyone really love that sounder, Moan?
This one?
Oh, yeah, that sounder, yes.
I know Vox Quindaro, he likes that one, so we're giving that for Vox. Vox, by the way, Crown Royal Northern Harvest Dry, $15 a bottle on sale. I picked up 2 more bottles this afternoon. And it's very good. It's one of the good batches, so Let's dive right into our standings from last week's picks. Go add to stage.
Ooh.
Bomber went 3-5. Wild Ute is the only one to finish above 500 at 5-3. Myself, Pickles, and Rock went 4-4, and Becky went 3-5 along with Bomber. And let's take a look at the season outlook, how that has it. Bomber is at 500 with 16-16. Wild Ute is in the lead with 18-14. I am dead last with 15-17. And then there's a three-way tie for second with 17-15 between Pickles, Becky, and Rock. Still early in the season, still some moves to be made, but we will get that done. Good job last week, Wild Ute. Good job.
On fire.
It's putting on a clinic.
Putting on a clinic on the spread right there, 18-14. I'll take that any day. Too bad we, Moen placed a parlay bet for us, though. We lost that one.
That's because you let the guy who's got 15-17 place the bet.
No,
I
that
choose
was
that.
you.
Where's the logic in that? I mean,
No, you made the picks.
Oh,
You said Iowa under. I was like, I don't know about that Iowa under. You, and he's like, no.
You
Iowa
did.
under.
You knew the Iowa under.
you did
Come
the
on,
Iowa
man.
under? Oh, come on.
Immaculate's the Iowa under. You would have gone with the Iowa under too, right?
No, we got an offense this year, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lost that.
our second quarterback has a 100% rating of scoring in the red zone. Second quarterback. Our backup scores every time.
Yeah, we're going to figure out the parlay for
Iowa
the night,
football.
guys.
It makes no sense.
Nate gifted me a $20 bill, and we're going to put that on something tonight. We'll figure something out for the channel. Let's take a look at the picks for this week. Let's start with Georgia and Alabama. Georgia's favored by 3 points, basically. This is at Alabama.
I'm with you, Mom.
I took Alabama. I think Alabama's going to win this game outright. I really do. I think Georgia struggles against Alabama. I think this is at Alabama. I think Alabama wins this game going away.
I don't know about that. I mean, Georgia, they are a stable program. Kirby Smart, despite the speeding stuff going on there and everything. I mean, it's hard to see Alabama win this football game with DeBoer there. It's still new. I've got hope for that program. I didn't know what it was going to look like beginning of the season. It's looking a lot better than I thought it was going to be. But Georgia, you got to beat the bully again, I guess. Like at the end of the day, Georgia's still the favorite until they get knocked off here, my view. So let's see it. Let's see it, Bama. Bring it on.
All right. Next game up is Illinois at Penn State. Penn State is a 17.5-point favorite here. And it looks like the only person who picked Penn State was Becky Go Huskies. I think everybody else realizes that 17.5 against a Burt-led team is a hellacious spread. Give me the Illini all day, every day.
Immaculate, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I got Penn State in our head-up picks elsewhere, but if I was picking on the spread, I'd probably go Illinois too.
Yeah, there's too many points. 17.5 is way too many. Like I might be tempted to take Illinois even if it's 13.5. How they've been playing and everything. So I think this is a no-brainer. I think Illinois covers this one. I don't know if they went outright though. I don't know. If they went outright, that'd be pretty amazing.
I mean, they just came from Nebraska. Like Nebraska's not quite Penn State, of course, but it's a rough place to go. And they, if you see this spread, I have to think like, okay, they've had the practice of playing in that type of a scenario just last week. So I think they'll at least keep it within that.
All right. And then everybody has Indiana, the Fighting Hoosiers, Stignettis,
Straight up.
overachievers, 6.5-point favorites. They're favored by a touchdown over Maryland. They're at home in Bloomington. I see Indiana winning this one by at least 14 points, if not more.
Look at their performance against LSU or against UCLA compared to how LSU played them.
Yeah, well, that's because I had money on LSU last week. That's the only
Oh,
reason
you did it.
LSU.
That's your fault then.
Moan, man, do you win much, Moan, when you're gambling?
Well, I didn't win that one. That's for sure. BYU Baylor. We only had one person select Baylor, and that was Wild Ute. Defend the pick.
Defend the pick. I mean, BYU had an amazing win last week. It was an emotional win. The fan base is loving life. There are predictions. I mean, like there's some folks that are saying that BYU might be that fourth seed in the college football playoff, that BYU might win the Big 12. I mean, BYU is really high right now. I get it and everything. It was a great win. But emotionally coming down, traveling day game to Baylor. Utah played Baylor last year, and it was actually a dogfight, absolute dogfight in Waco. It's going to be humid, hot. I just don't see BYU rallying emotionally in this football game. It's going to be close, but I see Baylor winning outright.
All right. I see, Baylor lost a tough one last week. I think Dave Aranda's starting to lose that team. I see BYU rolling in this game. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. Two teams coming off of heartbreaking losses that could, these were two favorites to play in the Big 12 championship game this year. And, they're down one game within the conference. So I like Kansas State just because Oklahoma State is awful.
Why are they awful, Moan?
They had no offense until the last half of the fourth quarter.
So that could either be Oklahoma State's awful or Utah defense is absolutely suffocating. One of the two. We'll find out, won't we? In this game.
They did give up points in the fourth quarter, the Utah defense. So
They did. So I think this game, it's a home game for K-State. Man, K-State looked bad last week. And I've got major concerns with Avery Johnson throwing the football, like intermediate long. That is going to be something to watch. If I'm Oklahoma State, I'd probably play, take away the short pass, take away the run, and let them go deep. And if K-State can get that connection, they're going to win. Probably win big and everything. But it's like, prove it. Got to do it still. K-State's at home. Oklahoma State's a talented team. That defense played the lights out. The Oklahoma State defense played the lights out last week. They're a talented bunch. I think they bounce back too. I think it's going to be more of like a shootout type of game. Both teams will play well. I think K-State pulls it out because they are at home. But it's going to be probably a touchdown game here.
what do you think, Immaculate?
My first reaction is K-State had a real big letdown against BYU. They're coming home. They're going to play tough. But I don't know. Something's telling me I think Oklahoma State's got their number. I'm not quite sure about this Kansas State team. With what BYU did to them, I don't see why this OSU team doesn't. And I agree. I think it was Utah more than it was Oklahoma State in terms of the score because we've seen what they can do. Somehow they have a quarterback and a passing game, and if they can just get their running game figured out to go with it, I guess I would lean Oklahoma State, even though my head's saying, Kansas State's going to get the rebound win coming back home. But I'd probably pick Oklahoma State just because of the points, maybe.
Okay, Kentucky at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 17.5 points. This is a Kentucky team that took Georgia pretty much to the limit, down to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss, statistically, I think Jackson Dart has the best statistics in the Power Four.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Ole Miss here. I think Ole Miss covers. I think Ole Miss wins big. I think Lane Kiffin goes out there and puts on a show.
Yeah.
I like Ole Miss winning this football game. 17.5 is that little hook right there. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I guess see this be like a 17-point game, 14-point game. Kentucky really gave Georgia a game a couple weeks ago and everything. So I don't know. I mean, like this is a pick just based on the line itself. 17.5 is a ton of points.
I agree.
So I'm staying with that half point right there. I'm saying like it's a 17-point win for Ole Miss.
Okay. What do you think, Immaculate?
I think I'd pay as much attention to the spread with Ole Miss as I would have paid attention to the over for Iowa last year. It doesn't mean a thing to me. As much as Kentucky played Georgia close, they also South Carolina beat that against them, right? So that it's one of those things where that's also why I question Georgia. Like Kentucky played them that tight, and South Carolina whooped them. So to me, there's no way they could do a spread that covers what Ole Miss is likely going to do in this game at home to Kentucky. So, yeah, that's an Ole Miss pick.
Okay. Then we've got Louisville, the Cardinals. They're playing at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored by 5. I like Louisville here. I think this is a signature win for Coach Braun.
Ooh, man, this would be a big win for Louisville.
Yes.
I hope Louisville wins this game. I really do. I don't see it happening. Notre Dame is a good football team this year. That loss was a fluke. They showed it the week after when they housed Purdue. And I don't know if this is going to be a house job, but like I could see Notre Dame win by 10-plus points in this one. But I hope I'm wrong about that. I think just Notre Dame's getting hot right now. And that's a good football team, guys. Notre Dame.
I like
That's a
Louisville.
tough one. Of course you do.
Yeah.
What do you think, Immaculate?
I got Notre Dame straight up. Once you start to throw in a spread, I don't know. I think it's either going to be a shootout or a low-scoring game. It's tough to pick Notre Dame right now, but they are a good team, and so they're going to have a game where they come out and just go, okay, there they are. And this one at home, didn't Louisville beat them last time? Was in kind of an embarrassing fashion. So they got some comeuppance to get on them. It's at home. I'd probably go Notre Dame, but man, this is one of those where you're clutching a little bit when you're making that pick.
Okay. We'll see. I still think the Cardinals.
Oh, they absolutely could be. I mean,
Go Cardinals.
I think Braum and Louisville have a very bright future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They got rid of a bad coach and got a great coach.
Yeah.
And Cincinnati got a bad coach. Washington State at Boise State. Boise State favored by a touchdown. Everybody has Boise State.
Yeah.
Except me. I've got Wazoo. I think Wazoo wins this game.
Blue turf, blue turf, blue turf, blue turf, blue turf, blue turf. Don't bet against Boise State at home. Just don't do it. Boise.
Unless it's Washington State, the team that no one seems to give enough respect to. And this is almost chronic. And this is what that team thrives on. And I think that this game, they're coming in to say, okay, we're getting together, but we want you to know who's going to be the boss of this conference. And I think Washington State comes in there and makes a statement. Boise State's a good team, but Washington State's a better team, in my opinion. And I do think that they're going to come into town and win that game.
Let's also pick the Ute game, okay? Before I know that it's not part of our picks and stuff, but I'm curious in your guys' thoughts on Arizona's coming to Utah. Blackout game tomorrow night. It's a 9.5-point spread.
Take
now.
Utah. I would take Utah.
Who's coming into town again?
Zona.
Yeah, right now it's kind of hard to go against Utah. That's probably who I'm going with is Utah. Oh, my goodness.
You guys don't mess. I've been waiting for this game for 300 days. Utah gets it done big in the blackout. You better look for this. We're going to be wearing this to the game with my lightsaber. We're going to take out the Arizona Wildcats. We're going to blow them out. We're going to have physical them. Can't wait for this one. Been waiting big time. Go Utes.
You're going to be on TV with that. You're going to have the full cape and everything?
Not the cape. I got to get the lightsaber tonight, though.
Yeah.
R.I.P. James Earl Jones. R.I.P. James Earl Jones. Yeah, I think if anybody's in the chat, give a cheer for the Darth Vader mask from you. It was a very nice mask. It's not a luchador mask, but it's still pretty good.
I've been
So
waiting to pull that one out for a long time.
now before we get into all the realignment stuff, we have to pick the 3 games of our parlay. What do we want to do here, team, fans? We're going to let Philip, you pick one of these games you want to parlay on.
I mean, last week we picked the games that everyone picked. Like, so that Indiana game's tempting, but like, hey, I don't know, guys. I'm not overly confident about any of these games to parlay. If we got to pick one, let's go Illinois covering.
Okay. Illinois covering. Immaculate, I'll let you pick a second one, and then I will pick a third one. Or you know what? Let's let the fans pick a third one. So
you guys pick from the fans. I'm not quite like what What are you guys doing with this? I don't want to cause
Oh, we're just placing a bet for entertainment purposes only. A 3-leg parlay.
Oh, okay.
Just for
I'm with
fun.
you now. I know which one I'd pick.
Hey, well, what do you pick, Immaculate?
I'd pick Ole Miss.
You're taking Ole Miss points,
Ooh.
okay?
I mean, because it's one of those, you get that much of a spread, it's probably going to be a good payout. And to me, people are going to get scared of that 17.5, and I absolutely would not be.
Let's start a poll, and we'll let the audience choose the last one.
I like that. Immaculate. I like the way you think and everything. I like it. I bet you're lucky, aren't you? Like in Vegas and stuff, Immaculate. You look like somebody.
That's
really
actually my superpower.
Yes. Maybe we should let Immaculate make all the picks.
I don't know about
Shonsky
that.
was saying that he's great at 3-leg parlays. We probably ought to check with Shonsky.
Yeah, I mean, if he's got a good record.
Okay, let's do Notre Dame and Louisville. And Louisville.
There we go. Got him
All
in.
right, guys. There is your 4 choices. We will put that'll be the third. Whatever wins will be the third leg of our parlay here. We're going to take Illinois getting 17.5, and we're going to take Ole Miss giving 17.5. So,
Like, if you want the big win, all right, I'm pushing. There we go.
What's the big win? What do you see, Immaculate?
Take the Bama.
The Bama, like straight up. Just Bama.
Like if you're wanting to aim like for something to like get a big win, because like 70% plus of people are going to think that Georgia's winning.
That's a tempting one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you want the good odds for like a small gain, or if you want to gamble a little bit and get a big gain, it just depends on how you play.
Nate wants BYU, but Nate, we'll talk about it. I mean, if I really wanted the layup, I would take Indiana.
I agree. Like nothing against Maryland. Maryland's a good team. It's just Indiana scares me right now. Like no one really knows that much about this team right now. Like what they're doing, what's going on. To only give them 6.5 after what they did to UCLA, after seeing LSU against UCLA, that one's a little bit surprising.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to split this. We'll do a separate parlay with BYU, Indiana, and Boise State.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm going to give you guys another minute or two to vote on this poll. Right now, Bama and Georgia are tied at 23%. Notre Dame's at 15%. Louisville's at 38%.
And I'm with Illini Ted in chat. You could not get me to bet on this Notre Dame team right now.
You guys aren't confident in Notre Dame?
No. That one right there is like, what Notre Dame are you going to get? Are you going to get the team that comes into Texas A&M, wants to stick the middle finger up to everyone there and just, plays well? Or are you going to get the Notre Dame that says, oh, we're playing Northern Illinois this week. Screw them. Who cares? That to me, that loss was pure preparation. Like they just weren't into it. So I think they will be into it for this game, like I said, because they lost to Louisville last time. They know they're going to come in here and try and embarrass Notre Dame, but betting on Notre Dame right now is tough.
Yeah. And we'll have a second parlay with the runaway picks, the Indiana, the BYU, and the Boise State. So, all right, guys, we've got 18 votes. I'm going to give it 10 more seconds. It's not going to change.
Get those votes in. Get them in.
Let's see. I don't think it's going to change things.
I just got mine. Notre Dame.
That didn't change things.
Didn't change
Didn't change his mind at all.
Nope. It's now down to Louisville and Bama. Well, looks like we're taking Louisville, gentlemen.
All
so
right.
we're going to take Illinois, we're taking Louisville, and we're taking Ole Miss. So
I'm shocked that you only got 16% on Georgia.
Here's the good thing, though. If you pick the dogs, you get better payouts. So
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
But I mean, at 2.5, you're only talking a field goal difference here. I mean, but the thing is, like I said, I think that everyone's going to be picking Georgia. and so the money will be on taking Alabama.
Well, maybe I'll bet Alabama separately. I'm placing these bets for myself for entertainment purposes only, guys. So
That's
just
right.
so we're aware, I'm just having you guys help pick. We're just doing a little interactivity to the community. So, all right. So those are our picks. Now, let's let me pull this off the stage. There we go. Let's get to some more comments here, and then we're going to talk G5 realignment. Immaculate has a West-East coast. I don't know what we're calling this one. East Coast, West
The
Coast,
Frankenstein.
the bi-coastal. But
I'm going to try and blow Wildroot's mind. That's my goal for tonight.
I guarantee you're going to do that, Immaculate. Take us to another level. Take us to another level.
Because I'm going to need your analysis on it.
We'll sharpen it. We're going to sharpen the sucker. We're going to figure it out.
Bob Swanger says, good evening. Good to see you, Bob. Shonsky, here's the man. Utah, Arizona is a trap game. The Utes win, but won't cover. Let us know what you think of both the three-leg parlays we put up there, Shonsky. Illini said, I never pick Notre Dame games anymore. They have ruined many a parlay for me. Yeah, that's... I'm wondering if maybe we shouldn't do Louisville because then somehow I'll bring the odds down and Notre Dame will win. I can't have that. Clint Moses says, how tall is Wild Ute? 6'5". We need a tight end. Any way, pick Bama. You know what?
Tight end that runs 5'3" or 5'4" maybe nowadays.
Problem is picking Bama. I don't know what the payout's going to be, but if I'll take Bama on the money line for like $10. We'll see what happens. Worst it happens, you lose $10. Rock Chalk 94. Oregon State and Washington State should admit they are relegated and join the Mountain West Conference.
Oh, man, They are not joining the Mountain West Conference. No, they're in too deep.
Oh yeah, there's real hate there now.
So the latest news is that the Mountain West reached out to the MAC, both Toledo and Northern Illinois, about potentially becoming football-only members. I don't know where they would park the rest of their sports because I can tell you the MAC's not going to accept that.
They can't. It's against NCAA rules.
Yeah. So,
which is part of my plan, but that's just the lead-in.
Okay. So let me put this out here real quick because I've had to explain this to some people. Ohio is not exactly the California system, but they do have a university system here in the state of Ohio that governs all public universities. And that includes Toledo. And that includes Kent State and Akron and Miami and Bowling Green State and Ohio University.
I thought Miami was private.
No, Miami University is a public school.
Oh, okay. All right.
So these are all schools that are in the MAC conference. I can't see the Ohio University State University system allowing Toledo to leave the MAC, especially when it would be damaging to 5 other brands within your state. So I just don't see the Toledo thing there. NIU, okay, maybe. It doesn't make sense to me, but maybe. Wild Ute, what are your thoughts on it? We'll start with you, and then we'll let Frankenstein come to life here.
I don't understand the thinking at all. Like, how is this a win for Northern Illinois or Toledo here? Like, bringing the football over largely on the West Coast, I just don't see that making a lot of sense. I don't think the payouts would be that much more significant. The travel expenses would be higher. And again, where are you going to park your other sports? Like, where is this a win? I just don't see any win in any which way for like a move to grab Toledo or Northern Illinois. Those are fine football programs, but they don't really belong. It just doesn't fit at all. It doesn't make sense even just to talk about it. I can't believe that it's actually even come out. I don't see it happening, guys.
All right, before you start, Immaculate, let me.
Well, this is just the appetizer.
Okay, this is the appetizer.
This isn't the whole thing. This is just about those two and the Mountain West.
Yeah, I would put this out there that I think Northern Illinois and Toledo want to get more money out of the MAC. They'd probably like to see an incentive program similar to what the ACC is doing. These are the two most dominant programs in the MAC over the last decade. So, and now explain to us Immaculate the Frankenstein Conference.
Well, first off, this has nothing to do with that. My thoughts on why the Mountain West is doing this is, one, how many, like, okay, great for you. You came out, you've made it public that you're reaching out to them. You look like the good guys versus the pack looking like the bad guys. Gloria Nevarez, in my opinion, is pound for pound the best commissioner in college sports. She does more with less than anybody else. She makes quick reactions that are sharp and smart. And so when I saw this, I go, there is more to this, because as we've said, this doesn't make any sense. So I had to come up with what makes sense of this. And it's like, well, we know the P4 does not want them to take any FCS schools. You guys have seen reports, like they don't want any more FCS schools brought up. Right. When you're in the Mountain West and your schools are making money off of the P4, paying you to come play them. So you don't want to piss them off too much. So what do? You put out this big public thing where you're going after these two schools that will turn you down. And then after that, you say, hey, we tried. We are out of options. We are going to have to grab some FCS schools. Because in my opinion, if they really, truly wanted to grab a couple of FBS schools that might say yes, they'd go to New Mexico State and UTEP out of CUSA, Conference USA. Now, they have like a $3 million exit fee plus whatever the gore is. It's not going to be that much. But that's where I would look at for some type of an announcement that was real, if they were going to grab some other FBS schools. But that's not where they went. So that's what I'm watching for on that, is once that gets turned down, Mountain West will look at some FCS schools up there in the region.
So where in the world would Toledo park? Going back to like going over the Mountain West, where would they even park the other sports?
They'd have to go to the Big East.
The Big East would take the Toledo?
The Big East does not exist in the FBS or the FCS. They are purely Division I. They have no football, and they sit in an entirely unique position within our little realignment world right now. They are the only one who could solve that problem.
You know what? So first impressions, right? It's like, this doesn't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just mentioned that. Just did a little bit of due diligence, and it might make a little bit more sense than I originally thought. I'm pulling up the financials for Toledo, guys. Let's look at the financial statements. Dang. Okay, the financials. Toledo's athletic department back in the most recent year-end available. They made about $36 million in total revenue, total sales. Okay, so how much of it came from like media distributions? Well, about $1.6 million and another $1.12 million. So they basically have yielded about $3 million, less than $3 million maybe, in media distributions from the MAC. $3 million, guys. I mean, could the Mountain West give them more than $3 million? Could they give them $6 million to make it worthwhile to travel, and then the other sports go to the Big East? From a financial standpoint, you might be able to make more. And plus, I'm looking here at Toledo's financials, and they needed $12 million from the institution, from the school, to fund the athletic department. So that would actually help that figure. So this is a financial play based on the really low payouts the MAC pays. Dang.
It is.
That's shocking, actually, low.
The Mountain West deals come up in 26 with Fox, with CBS, and with TNT. All of it. It's a big unknown. Are they going to stay? Are they going to go? Is the price going to go? The price is going to go down. It's going to go down considerably. And it was already only at like $4 million. So it's going to go down, maybe disappear entirely. I'd say that's a big bet. You get caught in that. You're traveling that far. Yeah, maybe the Big East will let you join them. But like Moen's saying, you're leaving all of your local rivalries, your schools. Will your board even allow it? To me, it's one of those things where, like he's saying, I think you use this in your current setting to get more. And what does the Mountain West gain from that? The appearance that they were going after FBS schools. So to me, both sides win from this by what they're trying to do. maybe you'll find some financials that do make sense. That's not my strong point. That's yours.
Yeah.
But to me, it's part of it also is that Eastern time zone or is that Central time zone, Mullen?
Toledo is Eastern time zone, but the
So-
MAC falls in both. Falls in East and Central.
Something people really need to pay attention to. It's not just about travel miles. It's about time zones that you travel through. Because if you got to go over there and play an evening game, you are then having your 2-3 hour flight coming back home, and you're losing 3 hours on top of that. So while it's not as big of a deal for football, if it's just football, it's still a thing in that it's going to affect your competitiveness, because if you're playing in an evening game over there, it's effectively like late night for you. Your body clock is way off. So it's going to affect your team, and then you're telling new recruits whom could just go over to the next school over, like, oh yeah, come here where you have to travel all the way out there to play, versus Ohio, versus everyone else who's still in the MAC that's getting the local travel. It's tough at that level to try to talk these kids into doing that, and I think it's more risk than it is reward, personally.
Yeah, you got to remember for
Needle much anyway, right? Like at the end of the day, it's really not going to make you a fortune doing this. Is the exposure better though in the Mountain West?
no, you've got your own night dedicated to you in Maction. You've got Wednesday night locked up. It's Toledo right now. Half of their opponents, they can get there on a bus within 2 hours. That's how tight the MAC is regionally. Yes, there's some outliers like Buffalo, but I mean, for the most part, the MAC is a really tight regional conference. So you're giving up half your trips by a bus within 2 hours to fly to Hawaii, to fly to Reno, to fly to Las Vegas. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. But it does make sense if you think that, hey, they're going to use this to get more money out of the MAC.
Can the MAC pay more money? I mean, like, what TV deal are we talking about with the MAC? Like, that's pretty low distributions, media payouts.
Yeah, I don't know when their deal comes up. But for regional, I mean, I'm telling you, the power universities in this region would probably flip out if Toledo left and Northern Illinois left. That is a lot of scheduling for these power schools. Mm-hmm. If Toledo leaves, Ohio State's not going to schedule Toledo in any future non-conference game. And a lot of these schools depend on that for revenue for their athletic department. Mm-hmm. That one game covers the entire revenue for their athletic department. So is Toledo going to make up for that when they fly the coop? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me other than they're using this as a play to get more money from the MAC.
Yeah. I don't think it happens. And as far as the MAC making money, they're going to have an opportunity like everyone else wants, if we do the conference tournaments, to get those sold. I think they have an opportunity for a particular school if this AAC situation happens that we're about to talk about. The school that I'd look for them is Temple. I think Temple might become open to the MAC should the AAC have another large departure.
That'd be a good pick for him, pick up the Philadelphia market.
Yep, kind of catches you up to the Buffalo, to the UMass. They're kind of moving up in that direction.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. I think if you can get your hands on them, definitely do it. But then there's other options out there still. Middle Tennessee, University of Northern Iowa has been mentioned. So there's other options for the MAC to expand too. I just don't know, man. With all this expansion that's going on in the G5, G6 right now, I have a feeling that it's not going to stop at the Mountain West and the PAC. I think that other conferences are going to expand. I think the MAC might expand again.
Well, keep in mind something's coming that we've been told about on the House settlement. I haven't had much chance to talk to you guys about this, but basically saying that the subdivisions of Division I are going to go from 2 to 3. which means now what we're seeing at the G5 level isn't just about where you are in the current situation. It's about whether you're capable of taking that jump up to the next, to that top subdivision. Like the FBS is going to be the middle division. They're going to form another division above that. And only schools that can do certain payouts and payments to students, athletes, and whatnot can make that jump. So now it's also about gathering up a good enough gathering of G5 brands that you can make that jump. And everyone else is going to be in that middle one. And that middle one, there might be like an open season for like FCS schools or conferences to maybe make the jump up to that. So it's going to be a big different picture. And that middle subdivision might end up having like a pretty decent tournament of its own, right? I mean, we saw that kind of hinted about a G5 tournament, and we thought about that. It's like, no, they're not going to like that. But if it's a different subdivision entirely, just like FCS has been having its own tournament for years, that middle division would have its own. So that's kind of what I think we're doing here, is they're trying to figure out if someone can grab up a good enough batch of schools to make the jump up as well. So that's what I think is going on.
So you think that the FBS is going to have its own essentially playoff, right, to determine its own champion?
Yeah, they teased it about the G5 tournament, but it's really the future FBS tournament. Whatever they call the subdivision. It's not going to be called Bowl subdivision because the Bowls are either going to go up to or they're going to disappear. It'll be called something else.
What are the odds that the Mountain West and Pac-12 finally realize that this hasn't worked out for either of them? They're both laying bloody on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
They're both sitting at 7. Why not just merge these two conferences?
Oh my gosh.
Too low of a median value. The same reason why the AAC and the Mountain West haven't done the same thing. And it goes along the lines of what I'm saying, and that's where I think there's one play left to be made for something that could possibly do it. And I think that it's between the Pac and the Big East.
Okay, we'll see. I don't know. I just leave the MAC alone, please.
I think the MAC will be fine. There's a lot of that's like the torch for all the people who talk regionality, right? Like the moment they heard the Mountain West was looking, everyone was kind of feeling for the Mountain West, and then all of a sudden the Mountain West is looking at MAC teams. Everyone's like, "No, you do not touch our last regional conference." So, I don't think that's. I think it's Gloria Navarez being. Gloria Navarez, she's very capable. So if it doesn't make sense, folks, and you see her doing something, remember there's something else to it.
14 teams in a combined Mountain West and a Pac-12. That's what you're proposing, Moan? I mean, that's...
I understand you're grabbing dead weight now, but you've done this to yourself.
The problem is the mouths to feed, right? It's like you're feeding, if you're Wazoo, you're feeding the same amount to another school, right? Like that.
You're going to have milkers, and now you're going to have milkers, and now you've given extra milk to them. On top of that, tiered milking system, TMS. So
this is where it gets painful. Okay, so I was taking a look at some television rating data over the last few years just to get a kind of feel for these Mountain West schools, and even some of the new PAC additions. And Wazoo and Oregon State have been good for anywhere from 750,000 viewers a game to maybe like 1.2 million, like in any given season, kind of in that range, right? You could even say, okay, around $1 million or 1 million viewers per game, Nielsen rated game. If you're looking at like UNLV, if you're looking at San Jose State, Utah State, it's all less than 300,000 viewers per game. And some of that's exposure, sure, exposure and everything, but really it's just like you really are, like from a media valuation, you're worth 3 times as much. If you're Wazoo and Oregon State, you are worth a lot more. So that is a tough pill to digest, to be sharing the same pot as San Jose State if you were to merge those two. I get why you don't want to do that. And that is why there's 7 Pac-12 teams right now. So you don't have as many mouths to feed. No one's milking anybody. Well, still, I guess some of the ads are milking off Wazoo and Oregon State.
Utah State is clearly milking.
Utah State is milking. They are milking, right? And San Diego State is milking too. San Diego State is not necessarily a ratings driver either, but like they're a good market. They're a good football team, good basketball team. They make sense to add. But there's a lot of milkers already involved, and the more you add, the more it dilutes your pot. So if you're Oregon State and Wazoo to be competitive in the future, I think you have to fight this fight and keep it low and try to get the biggest deal you can.
All right, so they both got to get to 8 guys. Who is the one non-milker that they could get to push them over the top for the Mountain West or the Pac?
There's none.
There's no more.
There's no more. You tried. I mean, the biggest non-milker would have been Tulane or Memphis. Those are the two, and those still would be milking off Oregon State and Wazoo. They do not drive the ratings that Oregon State and Wazoo get. And so there was nobody to begin with. And now it's just going lower and lower and lower. And you're getting to a point where, like, okay, you're looking at less than 300,000, 200,000 historical viewers. Why not just go get Texas State?
Okay.
Get at school, right? Like, just go get anybody at this point. Does it really matter anymore? For your TV deal? I don't think so. I think that you just add you add a warm body now in a market that you can recruit in and grow in, and that's Texas State. I think that's the play for the Pac-12.
Okay, so you think the Pac-12 takes Texas State and Mountain West would probably take UTEP in that situation?
They need 2. Because Mountain West has Hawaii, so they don't count. They need
That's
2
right.
schools.
Okay, so they take UTEP and
New Mexico State. If
New
by what
Mexico
you're
State.
saying, that's where they would go. That's not
Where's
what-
North Dakota State? Where in the world is North Dakota State? And wouldn't you
In
think they
North
would be like the
Dakota.
first call? What is it, just because the regional travel
I had
problem?
to. I had to.
Right?
Where-
Like, wouldn't you go to the Dakotas at some point? Like, I get like Texas State brings.
I'd do the Montanas first. Did you guys see them? Did you guys see what happened on the Mountain West website on their
No.
rankings, their standings? Idaho stuck into it. They put Idaho in there, and on their webpage is standings at 0 and 0. Idaho is there.
Really?
And I learned something from someone on X who I pay attention to when she tells me things in response to what I say. And that's that Montana and Idaho are rivals. And when I said that I thought Montana was one of the schools that was likely to get picked by the Mountain West, Montana, Montana State, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, it was Idaho and Eastern Washington were brought up as they're not going to want to leave them behind. Now, soon after I heard that from that person, we see Idaho is on the Mountain West board. No announcement, nothing, no refuting it, nothing. Like, who snuck it on there? Why? So is Idaho going to end up in the Mountain West? Are they already talking? They're an FCS. Like, I don't know. But yeah, that's something to watch for.
by the way, Virginia Tech has scored a touchdown. They're up 7-0 over Miami. I have a same game parlay with Miami, and that might just be screwed because I've got like a 5.5 point spread on the first quarter. So Miami come back, score 2 touchdowns.
So
Montana, yeah.
are you ready to be mind blown there, Waldo?
The big brain stuff.
Are you ready? And it's
All right, well, let's just hash this out and we'll get to that in a second. Because this
Yeah,
Montana
yeah.
conversation is really interesting because, like, Montana, the Grizzlies, they actually have like a pretty good fan base.
They do. Montana State, North Dakota State, and South Dakota State actually have subsidization levels that are on par with FBS schools. They're in like the 30 to 40% subsidization, whereas the rest of the FCS is like 70 to 80 to 90%. So they already have the fan bases, the support, the money to run those programs. They could step up and be competitive. It's not just they're not just beating the FCS schools because whatever. I mean, they have the fan base. It's not even fair. That's what I'm saying. It's not fair for them to play in the FCS. That's why, for me, they are the unknown. We know New Mexico State. We know UTEP. Okay, maybe they do well, maybe not. But they're not lighting up anything. They're not some unknown coming in going, ooh, what are they going to do? But if you look at all the FCS schools that have jumped up here as of late and how good they've done, those have all been stories. Those have all gotten coverage and looks, national looks. I think Montana State, North Dakota State, and South Dakota State coming in there, that becomes a national story.
It's a really interesting one. Like,
Everyone gets
definitely-
immersed in that.
Yeah, Montana and North Dakota State seem kind of like maybe the darlings of the four
Mhm.
from the outside, just because we know the brand a little bit more. They've had historical success. So the Mountain West, would they consider going for Montana and North Dakota State? I mean, that's kind of on par with the rest of the Mountain West schools. I know it's like a little bit more travel and everything, but they're at least contiguous. Those two you'd add there. State's not too far away.
You add those 4 in Idaho, you get to 11 schools plus Hawaii. That's 12. I mean, that's a pretty good league.
Agreed.
Yeah, but you've also got the $5 million fee for them to move up from FCS to FBS.
Yeah.
So that's $20 million total to get. Do those schools have that type of funding where they can get that?
If they're all coming together, probably.
Okay.
Poaching fees. It's all going to come out of the poaching fees.
Yeah,
Sparrow gets the poaching fees.
Mountain West, they came out and said all of that money is going towards their current schools, and they had the percentages as to how much each one of them is getting. Like UNLV and Air Force were getting like 27% of all that money.
Yeah.
Each. Just to stay. Don't go, please. So like 100% of that money is being handed out to their current team. So there is not money for that. So it would have to be FCS teams that could pony up. And $5 million to come up, it seems like a lot, but if you're already a school that's already at low down 30 to 40% subsidization rates, which is what you see in a lot of FBS schools, they could probably get it. I mean, look, there's a lot of money in Montana. And those people, if they're all of a sudden here, like, we're going to go compete at the next level up, let's go. I think that they could raise it. I do.
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
That'd be a brilliant decision, too, for those programs to move up to the Mountain
I think
West.
they'd want to all go together. And if you're willing to do that, yeah, I think they'd pony up. Because, I mean, come on, Missouri State's doing it. Delaware State's doing it. They're paying it to go to the Conference USA to play against schools that they have very little history with. Like you tell Montana State, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, along with Idaho, yeah, we'll bring all you in, but you're going to have to pay your way in. Yeah, all right, done. That's easy.
Right.
We got oil money up here now. We're good.
Got that oil money.
Got that oil
That
money.
catch-up money.
All right, Immaculate. It's time for Big Brain. It's time for the Immaculate Theory. Why don't you lay it all out and everything on what you're kind of thinking, what's on your mind?
I got
folks.
this one because someone shared with me a video. A guy named Gary Parrish. He's with CBS, but he also has his own show. He's out of Memphis. And one thing he mentioned was the Big East. And what we saw with the deal between the PAC and these AAC schools is that they did not offer enough of them. And they didn't offer enough exit money. And they didn't offer enough of them so that their logistics could be, regionalized. Like if you take 6 teams to the east, 6 teams to the west, most of your games are going to be in your area. You can work out the scheduling. It helps out a lot. If you're those schools, you don't want to come in with, say, 2 to 4, because also on top of that, now you're a voting minority. We got a lot of stuff these conferences are going to vote on in the future, with all the new rules and everything that each conference is going to be allowed to decide what they want to follow. So you don't want to come in there and have a minority vote when the schools across the country are going to be deciding for you what the rules are that affect you. So when I saw that they never made up to 6, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. People kind of get stuck on the exit fee situation, which is a big deal. But I think if you have your vote in line and if you have your travel numbers in line, it's not as big of a deal. But it doesn't seem like now that they've taken Utah State, they'd have to invite 7. That's a bit of a stretch. So I tried to figure out something that would work differently, and that's reach out to the Big East. The Big East has a big problem. You know what that problem is. You're very aware of what that problem is. That problem is your mark. That man's been coming for your top dog multiple times, trying to steal UConn, take them away. What happens to that brand new shiny deal if UConn's gone? How's Fox going to feel? How's NBC going to feel? How's TNT going to feel? So what you're doing is, okay, so we need to get one more permanent school out in the Pac. You could just take anyone. I don't care. Fill the school. We'll take Sacramento State. Whatever. They're now building a new stadium. So we get our 8 full-time teams. NCAA can't unsanction us. But, you can fill it in with whomever. It really does not matter. They're not going to carry your weight. They're not going to carry your deal. They're just there so that you don't get basically destroyed by the NCAA. And so then you're going to have 8 East Coast football teams. And that's it. And you're going to partner with the Big East, who wants to get UConn in a conference without losing them. So you take UConn. Number 2 that they're going to get is Villanova. Villanova has a football team. Most people don't realize that because they play in like an FCS conference. So you're going to take them as well. And so now you're gaining 2 ways to make sure that both UConn and Villanova do not leave the conference in the future. It's not a guarantee. It just improves the odds. And that's something you might really understand in terms of, making the percentage chance of them ever leaving in the future be less. So then after that, you need 6 more. That's what we were talking about from the AAC in the past, is 6. So you're looking at USF, you're looking at Tulane, Memphis, UTSA. I think Rice at this point, if you're trying to get the Big East on board, they'd probably want Rice to come join them, because these teams are going to have to join the Big East in all sports except for football. So who do they like? And then you add one more on there. Is it a North Texas to get into DFW, ECU, whatever? Pick another one. So 6 teams out of the AAC join the Big East as full members. That means because they don't do football there, that they can put their football wherever they want. So now if you have 6 teams joining football with the Pac, that's the only cost. That's the only travel issue. And if in vote wise, you're going to have, as long as they give them a vote on things, you're going to have UConn and Villanova, USF, Tulane, Memphis, and then the other 3 voting on that. So you'd have your equal vote. You'd have your logistical problem solved. You're not having to do every single sport 2 to 3 time zones to the west. So it helps the Big East with their problem. It helps the Pac with their problem. The one conference that does not help is the AAC. And that's why
it kills the AAC. You eliminate the AAC.
Happens, the rest of the AAC is going to have to find a home. And that's where I'd say Temple would have to look at like the MAC, and some of the other schools would look at either CUSA or maybe Sunbelt might take a couple because they're at 14. So maybe they go to 16. So that's the idea. Is the original idea failed. They for whatever reason they really couldn't even get close. So could they do better? Probably. Could they go all the way to what they'd have to do to pull that many schools? Because now they got to do 7 at least, right, to match the 7 in the West that they now have because they took Utah State. And I find that hard to believe that it's there. So I say nope. Now you got to work with the top conference that does not have football, that is in the East, which funny enough, some of these schools have history there, USF. So, it's a little bit of revenge tour for the Big East too, to see some of these schools come back.
Yes.
The American that kind of, took from. So there's both logic to it for the Big East in that it helps preserve what they have, makes it harder for Yormark to pull. Sorry, Big 12. He tried hard. Maybe he saw this coming. I don't know. But this would make it more difficult to get them out. This would get them a good payment for football without having all the cost of running all the other sports out to the West Coast. So that's the idea. It'd be a partnership between the Pac and them. Gonzaga joins the Pac. Just imagine having some type of midseason challenge or tournament between the two where you end up with a Gonzaga versus UConn game. I mean,
you got San Diego State there too. We got some good basketball.
Yeah, there's some good basketball in the West, really good basketball in the East. You add markets like Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, New Orleans, Memphis, Tampa Bay. I mean, so now you just got a deal with TNT, NBC, and Fox. And now you're coming back to them saying, I mean, I know we just signed this deal, but I think it's time we renegotiate a little bit higher. And you know what? They're looking at probably saying, yeah, okay. I mean, you're coming to the table with a lot here. And by partnering with the Big East and you're the Pac and you're looking like we need some deals. Might as well just come sit at the table and have one big discussion about what are we all going to do together. You got Fox, you got NBC, and you got TNT sitting there. And with the AAC going away, you got ESPN that probably needs a replacement for it. So you're sitting pretty if you're the Pac and you got that type of a situation. That's what I would do. That's what I would go.
You need the Big East to first raid the American Conference.
Correct.
American Athletic Conference. So if you're going to phase this out, so Big East would have to be in cahoots, in alliance with the Pac-12 with the idea this is going to happen. So you need some type of an alliance with those two first.
Alliance, that word, yes.
You need a cross-country alliance. Then you need a raid of the AAC. So you pull over the best assets of the AAC, USF, Tulane. You pair those and you add UConn and Villanova with those 6 best assets of the AAC into a new revised Big East conference, and they can aim Big East King on the East Coast.
They would be like the Eastern Division of the Pac Football League.
Yep. Then the Pac would have their 7. They'll add 1/8. Then you'd have 16.
Yeah, that's why I say that the 8th that really doesn't matter. Like you're struggling, like who's going to help carry? It doesn't matter. They're not going to ever hardly get on TV. You don't really need them to. They just need to help you keep the NCAA from basically going, killing you off as a conference. So Sacramento State's making the efforts to build a brand new stadium. Okay, fine, whatever. Like it's that's really not a big deal. You just need an 8 team.
What if? Okay, while you were speaking, this one actually kind of makes sense. So, if you're the Pac-12, you've got 7 schools now. You're in the Mountain and you're in the Western footprint. Why not just merge with the AAC? They've got 13 schools. You make it a clean 20, and you're national. And you've got the brands you wanted to bring in anyway. You can still lift the media value, and you're losing some of the old Mountain West baggage. Why not do that?
You could, and it's possible, but what's the numbers on that? You're looking at 7, and I mean you're getting upwards of 20 some teams, whereas this other idea you're having 8 full and 8 partials versus it's a smaller number, easier to kind of go towards. That Big East already has the partnerships with networks. You could do it. It's not out of the question, and I first thought about that as well. But the AAC also has a little bit of dead weight. When you start talking about median values.
Yeah, it's true.
They've brought up some. So
most importantly, Miami is now up 14-7 in the same game.
That was quick, Mom.
The same game parlay is still protected. It's still intact, guys. So
Miami scored 14 points in 10 minutes.
Yep, a little under. But let's get to some comments here real quick.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's get some comments.
Yeah, I can see some comments about this idea, so we'll get into it.
We'll start out here with Northern Illinois played in the Big West in football in the mid-'90s. For what it's worth, I did not know that, Illini Ted. Thank you for the information. Clint Moses, our Beaver fan. Maction was off limits. Mountain West Conference is now public enemy number 1. I'm still siding with the Mountain West.
No, it's that egregious deal that the Mountain West threw on the Pac, guys. Like seriously, $14 million for 6 games to $30 million.
They haven't set the market. Look, the MAC TV deal comes up after 2026, 2027. And Stephen Vitt again. He's an Ohio Bobcat. He knows the MAC. It's a logistic nightmare
for football only. Like that's what we're talking, but then you're sticking everything else in the Big East, ideally.
So you're losing all your sports with your rivals. I think it's
that's realignment, baby. Yeah. That's basically what we do.
Steve-O says Toledo is too tough of a non-conference game for Ohio State.
Let them cook, Moan. Let them cook.
No. There's a rotation of in-state Ohio teams that Ohio State plays, and Toledo is one of them. I think Cincinnati may have got removed from the rotation when they joined the Big 12. But Toledo, Kent State, Akron, Bowling Green, Miami, Ohio, they all get a shot at Ohio State at some point. Almighty Finn says the power is out in Indianapolis from the weather. Only can watch on my phone. Will stay safe out there, Finn. I still have power here in Southern Ohio. We'll see how long that lasts. Mac should get Temple and Delaware. Those would be great ads, Jan.
Delaware's kind of stuck in Coosa, but that would be a good ad.
Daniel Gygax says, don't ruin Maction.
See, this is one of those things you just don't touch. It's like that little thing of like a little piece of china over in the corner. Just don't touch it.
There's some passion in Mac territory.
And it's not just Mac fans. Like everyone's like, we don't watch it. We don't really care about it, but we don't want you to break it.
It's there if you want to watch it, like on a Wednesday, right?
Like this
You
is
need
the
that
old
football
style,
fix.
the old regional conference that everyone sees dying.
Yeah. If you want to have fun, turn on Maction, put a $5 bet on one of the teams, and
let it
you'll
ride.
and let it ride. Put it on the over too, because it's probably going to hit the over. Clint Moses says our last pack season was 1.73 mil per game. I assume that's the average rating.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really big year for Oregon State last year with DJU, with that run, with that team. It's a great rating season. So, I mean, the Beavers, they could pull ratings, guys. And so can Wazoo. That's why they got to find the best deal that they can for themselves to remain a strong football program.
Illini Ted says some Mountain West Conference intern is no longer in charge of updating the website.
You didn't read all the memo. It said, do not post until next week.
I wonder if there was some. Yeah, I would hope nobody hacked them. I mean,
No, if anything, it might actually have been told to do, and it's like a little signal.
yeah, maybe. Clint Moses says Wild Ute knows better than that. Old Pack held back their members, viewers. Every team leaving benefited, more untapped potential.
It seems that way, doesn't it? It seems like everyone's getting pretty good TV numbers outside the pack. I know USC's double in the Big Ten what they were doing in the pack as of so far. So Utah's kind of the same, a little up, but not a ton up.
A little chaos will draw some attention. I mean, I think that these schools have gotten a lot more attention than they have in the past because of what's happened to the pack. I mean, I know that's rough, but I think it's true.
Jamie Thornton's in the house. Hi, guys. Sorry I'm late to the party.
Jamie.
I will forgive it this one time, Jamie, but no longer be tardy to this party. Daniel Gygax says, but the fee is offset from CFP money in a few years. That would be in relation to FCS call-ups.
Yeah, I think they can make the money. They could do it.
Then Illini Ted chimes in here. He says they could only take up to 2 FCS per year, or the NCAA wouldn't count them as FBS games for the first year, so that would be a multiple-year plan to take 4.
Is that a rule? I mean, I'm not saying it's not. It might be. It's just not what I'm aware of. But there's so many that it's entirely possible to not know them all. But that could be.
Jamie says, I still like what the Pac did. They cut the dead weight off the bottom of the Mountain West. I think they need to take the message of the Memphis AD to heart and go back, made a better offer to Memphis and Tulane. I don't know that they have the money to now.
Gosh, yeah, the war chest is pretty much gone, isn't it?
$55 million in poaching fees they're trying to get out of. So,
and you need more teams than just Memphis and Tulane.
You do. That's the sticking point. So, to only do 2.5 of 25 million, that's right at a 10% point. Like they're saying, we'll pay 10% of your exit fee. That's exactly what they said. How much more room do you think they have? I mean, they might have a little more they could throw at it, but does it get you anywhere near where, okay, the exit fee payment you're helping us with is so good that we're going to ignore the fact that logistics is going to suck for this, and we're going to be voting minority members in the future when a conference vote's going to matter more than it's ever mattered ever in the past. I think that number was so low that it just says there's not a lot of wiggle room there.
Uncle Filthy Good to see you. I like that Breadman icon from Ren and Stimpy. Could not care less how TV networks feel. F them for screwing this all up.
A lot of people
Right?
agree.
Right?
Chris E says Memphis waiting for next TV negotiations for Power 4 conference. Why join the Pac-12 when Power 4 aren't going to accept or give Pac-12 automatic bid to playoff? G5 already have automatic bid.
Exposure. Prestige. The Pac-12 has more prestige, in my point of view, than the American. And the idea of you playing football games versus Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State is attractive. That's very attractive. Honestly, guys, here's the reality with the American. Like, I am a football diehard. I couldn't name half the teams in the American. Straight up. I can't. Like, I was surprised some schools went up to the American. Like, they just exposure. If you make that move, you're in bigger matchups, more exposure. And then obviously, if you ever get a Power 4 invite, you're gone anyway. That's not going to hold you back. In fact, in the Pac-12, they've got an exit fee deal within their paperwork that San Diego State signed that said that it's 2 years of media rights payouts for the exit fee to leave the Pac-12. So really, we're not talking about a fortune to leave the Pac-12. I mean, Oregon State and Wazoo are gone any second they get an invite anywhere else, if it was the ACC or the Big 12. So everyone knows that's the game. Guess what? This is how the game's played nowadays. Everyone gets it. So I think that if you're Memphis, though, like, why just sit there in the American when you can actually lift your brand more?
Yeah, I think there was some talk about having like a 5-year special deal in terms of stick around for 5 years. But you got to remember, like, all the founding members of this new pack now, all of them have had aspirations to make it to the power conferences. Every single one of them. I mean, look at everything that SDSU did to make it. Boise State certainly tried. Colorado State was trying. The only one that maybe did the least amount was Fresno State, but they were still kicking the rocks around. So I don't think anyone that's a part of that wants to handcuff themselves to it. So in my opinion, the exit costs to get out of there are not going to be insurmountable at all. And if they still happens to happen, they do this Big East thing, it's even easier. Has anyone ever talked about how hard it would be for UConn to get out of the Big East when it comes to the talk about the Big 12? Has it even come up? I've never even seen numbers. That's what my thought is, like, how are they going to hold you? And now maybe it'll be a little bit more now they got their deal doubled. I mean, that's also something too. Their payout deal got doubled by this new deal. They're getting paid more than a lot of these FBS G5 conferences per team. The Big East is. So when people say, well, why would we want to go back there? I've seen the comments. I get it. I know there's history. But go look at what they're getting paid. And then what are you going to get from the Pac as a football team once you get that new big deal, because you've got all the top ones? That's your only chance to get a good enough lineup of schools that you might get to go up with the P4. Otherwise, you're in that next tier down. That's just how it's going to be. So that's the idea, I think.
Illini Ted says it's a bold strategy, Cotton. However, the Big East is all private outside of UConn. Not saying that would kill it, but they didn't like all the public universities of the old Big East.
Correct, but they also know that if UConn bolts, there goes half of their value. So maybe UConn would like some more publics with them. Sometimes you got to...
Notre Dame, baby. At Notre Dame. They're out there.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something, wouldn't it, if it went back that far? But sometimes, you can't let perfect be the enemy of good. You can't sit there and be like, we don't like that. Well, tough shit. Sorry. Like, this isn't one of those situations where you're going to control every single aspect of what happens. You got to look at the landscape and say, what's our best option? And you're probably going to have to realize that you're not getting 100% of what you want.
Vox Quindaro says at some point, Big 12 leadership has to show more trust in your mark and give him UConn.
It's really starting to look like they should have. Like before, I was like, nah, not yet. seeing this situation, I'm starting to think I might have been wrong, and he might have been right, and maybe he saw this. Probably should have grabbed him.
Right. It's on pause. Remember, people, it's on pause.
Yeah, you guys.
After-
Stop it.
Because weren't you
Fox,
saying
Fox.
yes? Weren't you saying yes to that? Weren't you saying yes? to
Hey, you
grab
know
him?
what? My research says yes, but I say no.
Oh, okay.
I don't
All
have to
right,
align
well,
with the data. I can
you
can
might-
have my own thoughts on the future of the
You
Big
might have
12.
trusted your analysis, then. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I trust the analysis and everything, but still, I just I don't think that's best for the long-term future.
This was unforeseen. So I don't you know what I mean? Like this situation, the way it's going down. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about the upcoming G5 consolidation realignment phase that was going to come, and it's going to get pretty crazy. Didn't foresee this. This is a real fight. This isn't the choreographed P4 where the hierarchy is pretty set in stone and you just like, okay, we know what's going to happen. This is a real fight. So I think you gotta find and take and grab your spot. And so I don't think anyone really foresaw something like this going down this way.
Meanwhile, Antoine Coates comes in here and drops a 5-member gift bomb. Yeah, I will let him cook. Thank you, Antoine Coates. You're a loyal member of the fraternity here inside La Cosa Nostra, college football
Let him
Ostra.
cook.
Let
him cook
baby.
now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Thank you so much for those gifted memberships. Those memberships went to B, the runner-up, Mosito X, Braska Rascal, and Devil Frog. If you are in the chat, folks, make sure you thank Antoine Coates for his generosity and consider paying it forward, just like Devil Frog did.
Wow.
Devil
Nice.
Frog has gifted a membership to the College Football Mafia family, and that went to Jeff Morgan, the Mountaineer. Congratulations, Jeff. Thank you, Devil Frog. Make sure you tell
Frog.
Devil Frog thank you in the chat. Much appreciated, guys. Those memberships help us keep the lights on here, help us place parlay bets. So thank you so much for that, Antoine Codes and Devil Frog. Antoine, I hope you're feeling better. Let me know. Oh, and then we've got Ryan Willie coming in here. Woo. Oh, wait, I got to do it on the other screen. Ryan Willie comes in here and drops a 10-piece chicken McNugget membership bomb with sweet and sour sauce on that bad boy. K-State Scott, Phil Venzer, Morris Simmons, his Beaveness, John D, Chris Schubert, Don McCloy, Nate Davis, X-Man 88, and John Grove. Make sure you thank that Evil Badger. Say, Evil Badger, thank you for that membership. Now we can go watch Wild Ute University. We can participate in member-only streams. We can do all the fun stuff that members do, like using tinfoil hat emotes when Immaculate comes up with theories about the Big East and the PAC joining forces. Thank you so much, Ryan. You are awesome. You are great. Let's give you an evil laugh. Let's give you a winner. We haven't done a winner in a while.
Yeah, we got to give a winner.
And let's do a little drunk Joe.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
Hopefully Wisconsin pulls it out tomorrow. Hopefully. Thank you so much to Antoine, Devil Frog, and Ryan Willie. You guys are awesome. Awesome, guys. And
I love I love the name too. What is it, like His Beaveness? His Beaveness is a 10 out of 10 name.
Yeah.
Solid name.
Yeah, it's got a Pac
love it.
2 logo, it looks like. Yeah, it's interesting. So we got a lot of new members into the family here. You're all welcome. Burn that saint. Make sure you don't talk about anybody. Remember, we practice omerta around here.
So really who? All right, Moan. Let's talk about this battle between Mountain West and the PAC, right? And let's talk about what the PAC can do now. What does the PAC do from here? Do they just add one more member?
Well, I mean, if you're trying to get the most money out of it, you can only add one more without being dilutive. Like you said, you're going to dilute with your 8th member anyway. So you either take UTEP or Texas State. Take your pick, whichever one you think is the better. I think I would take Texas State over UTEP. That's just me, But they might make a run at those AAC schools again. But I just don't know that they have the money to pull it off, unless you go with them.
What if you wedge UConn, and then pull the AAC schools after? What if you go after UConn?
I don't think UConn's moving anywhere yet.
As a full member, you think UConn would want to be based in Connecticut, running all of their sports to the West Coast?
I think UConn waits to see what happens with Brett Yormark in the Big 12. They very specifically put that on pause.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and if they only put their football somewhere, that's a lot easier to get out of.
Yeah,
you're not messing up the schedules of 12, 13, 14, 15 sports. That's part of the problem for these ADs is once you have to go get quick replacements, it costs you money. It costs you money in these other sports too. They just don't talk about it.
Becky Go Huskies with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Becky. Just wanted to say Sacramento State is a real Pac-12 possibility. Watch the Texas schools. Also, hi, Jamie Thornton. Thank you for the super chat, Becky. Becky is my co-host on the Big Ten Mafia show that airs on Mondays at 8 p.m. We talk Big Ten football, break down the week's events, look towards next week. Becky, I got my Washington hat in the mail today, but I'm waiting for my Rutgers hat, so we're going to see who wins tonight to determine what hat I wear on Monday. So,
whoop, whoop. Okay, Sacramento State, guys. This one kind of came out of nowhere. Please, somebody explain why Sacramento State is a legit candidate for the Pac-12 conference.
Okay,
let's just list these teams. Okay, we've got Boise State, we've got Washington State, we've got Oregon State, and we've got San Diego State and Fresno State. Where in the world does Sacramento State fit in with those schools? Am I just off my rocker here?
The word state is in it, so it counts.
I guess like Fresno State.
They're actually they've got the money lined up for a brand new like 25,000 person stadium, and the number one thing that you got to have when you're moving up, because this is what you're showcasing to the networks, because this is where their content's going to be at. This is the cathedral of the modern day era. They're building that, and that it's one of those things to say, look, we're figuring out how to do this with less. Bring us in, and we'll have more, and we can even do more. It's like why Georgia Tech is doing everything they're doing. Why schools that really are serious about wanting to move up, Kansas, you do these things ahead of time to show we can do this without that money. What can we do with it? That's the only reason why Sacramento State's now on my radar, is because they did that as an FCS. They're building a. It's the same as what USF is doing. And it's in Sacramento. As much as you may not want another California school, it is the capital, so you're going to have connections with that. It is a California State University school. People say San Jose State, but San Jose State bought into Mountain West. They're getting that money. They're getting paid to stay. So it's another California school. Travel will be nice. Travel will be good. Remember, it's way up there in Northern California. So for the likes of Oregon State and Washington State, not a big travel situation. Boise State, So I think that they'd like the location, and they're finding the money. They're finding ways to do some things.
From a prestige standpoint, from a perception,
not great.
I cannot believe we're even talking about this.
Hey, but they took Utah State. They took Utah State.
Utah State is a Mountain West school. Utah State's won the Mountain West Championship. Sacramento State. Does anybody know the mascot for Sacramento State?
No, but can I ask you one more quick question? You're going to keep going, I know. What's better, being 8 teams with Sacramento State, or being 7 teams and having the NCAA come in and say, sorry, you're no longer sanctioned and nothing you do counts in the NCAA. You can't even be in the tournament.
Why don't you just go out for Montana over Sacramento State? Like Sacramento State, guys. We're talking about Sacramento State here.
I don't.
Who are they?
Well,
Like,
they're-
how
they
in
would
the
be.
world do they consider for Pac-12 membership? If I'm an
They would
Oregon
be-
State fan, I'm literally livid. Like, what the freak? The whole perception is horrible.
Mhm.
You just be honest about this. Like, hey, great, they're having a new football stadium and stuff. You're loaded with California schools. This makes zero sense. This is the biggest blight I've ever seen in my life. Seriously,
I get it.
You cannot do this. You can't do this.
But
for the sake of honor, just honoring those programs. These were former P5 programs. You cannot add this type of school. If you're Boise State, if you're Fresno State, if you're San Diego State, how in the world would you be okay with this? You made that jump. You're paying a bunch of fees and you're adding Sac State. I get that they're a real candidate. I can't believe that they're a real candidate. How could the Pac-12 fall this far? It's unfreaking believable. Seriously, like this is the biggest joke. When I first saw it, I'm like, yeah, someone really, like someone on Twitter is just trolling and everything. It's like, this is real. Like, this has to change. You can't do it. Please, 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 Pac-12, do not do this.
Well, let me know how you really feel about it.
that was awesome.
That was a wild Ute rant right there.
That was good. I'm like, I'm to let him cook. You got to do the let him cook for that.
Oh, that's true. We might as well let him cook on that one.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said, let him cook.
And let's not forget he is a milkman.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
Like, if they made the move and it actually happened, and I'm not saying that it's like not going to happen, like it's legitimate,
Mhm.
but you better not pay them a dime ever.
That's a big part of it too. Partial
Like
payments.
or no payments. Like, you guys come up,
No
you fund your own
payments.
program.
You're
and
playing
everything.
for free.
I mean, if you're going to get that call up and stuff and be playing with these schools, you're going to get
SMU
nothing.
did it.
Nothing, because you're adding zero to the media contract. We already own California. You're doing nothing here, so we're gifting you basically a get out of jail free to get up to the best, G5 level conference. I don't know. It's still shocking that we're talking about it.
Can I respond real quick?
Yes,
You brought up
please
Montana.
respond.
You brought up Montana, and that was a good why not something like this? Because that's a solid retort. And I would say, if the Mountain West is willing to take Montana, Montana State, North Dakota State, and Idaho, all of them together, that's got to be valuable to those schools, right? That they can stay with their rivals, with that grouping, come up together, do this together. Would the PAC be willing to do that? Because if they're willing to do that, they probably have to skip the Eastern move. Is it that much? Is not taking Sacramento State just to round out the 8 and then do another plan? Is it that bad of a take that you would take Montana, Montana State, North Dakota State? I don't know, maybe Idaho, whatever they got Idaho, because that way you get 12 teams. Is that better? And remember, and then not having any Eastern footprint. Which one of those do you think is better? Take the 5 up there in kind of the northwest, or does it take Sacramento State and now you're open to go do whatever else? Which one's better?
I would never take Sacramento State
Okay.
in any condition. I think the even we're having this conversation is a slap in the face for the Pac-12. And like the former
agree.
conference that the Utes loved and everything, like it's really sad to even talk about this, honestly. And like, I live out in the West, I'm in Utah and everything. I know these schools well. I know Utah State well, Boise State, I know Wazoo and Oregon State, and I don't know Sacramento State. I know nothing about them. I know that Utah's assistant coaches have gone over there being head coach because they're FCS level. I don't know anything about that program. No one's ever heard of them. No one ever watches them. No one knows their mascot. Like, it's just some no name. It's like Grand Canyon University coming up with some money and everything. It's the same level, guys. It really is. At least Montana, at least North Dakota State, you know who those programs are, the proven. Sacramento State, guys. Like, with Boise State, with Oregon State and Wazoo, like, I can't. If I'm Boise State, I just made that move. I'm losing my freaking mind right now. It's like, you just made this move. You're paying $27 million maybe in fees, and you're talking about adding Sacramento State. Imagine how mad those schools are. San Diego State. They've got to be absolutely furious. Like, what have we done? What have we done? We're getting milked now from the Mountain West. We got screwed by the Mountain West. We got turned down by Memphis. Man, this is just not good at all. There's nothing good about this for the Pac-12 at all.
G5
Really
realignment
disappointing.
is a mess. That's what I definitely agree with you on. And it's I think it's gotten to the point where the script is ripped up, thrown out, and now you're improvising. the best you can. So I love what you're saying, and it's interesting to get kind of that perspective, from over there about how it might be looked at, because I'm looking at this with kind of zero emotions. Just like, to me, it's a door opener. Like, okay, you get your 8th, now you can go do something very unorthodox. But I mean, if taking them is that big of a problem, folks, then yeah, you can't get past that step. So you might have to do something else.
That American merger has to be in the cards. Like, if you're talking about taking Sacramento State, like, you have to consider doing something else. You cannot do that, guys. Like, the Pac-12 cannot do that for the optics. Like, if you want to be considered the best G6 level conference, which you are right now, you cannot make that type of ad.
Because I asked those folks, online when I was talking about things, I said, okay, well, give me another one that's better. And the first one that someone came up with was Idaho. I'm like, okay, so Boise State's really looking forward to that? Does Boise State prefer an Idaho? No, they don't. So scratch that.
I think that, like, from back out here, Idaho, at least in Utah, is close by. So you know of Idaho, right? You know the Vandals and everything. But
They used to be
Sacramento State, no one even knows that even in a program. I'm serious.
I never heard of
how
them
many people
before
have never
this.
even heard of them? Like, so it's kind of unbelievable it's even being talked about. This is the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, the Pac-12 isn't the Pac-12 of when you were there. They got a different situation they have to handle, and you got to look at like where you are now and the problems you have now and the potential solutions. And I get it. To a lot of folks, they're going to look at that and it's going to be distasteful. And that was a post I made was, look, if you see Sacramento State get it, do not lose your heads. It likely is leading to something else, because just like you did, that's how I think most people would react who were in that going, what? Why are we here? Right? Like, that would be the natural reaction. Like what you just did. That's the reaction I was foreseeing people would likely have. So that was perfect. I'm like, oh, this is good. Because you got, like, I don't think that gets picked unless there is a plan. Otherwise, I'm taking UTEP. I'm taking New Mexico State. I'm taking whatever. Something is better than that. If Sacramento State's taken, it means something else is coming. Period. For every reason you just said. Because you're not doing it for who they are. Yes, you got a stadium. That's fine. Good. We can play in that. But they're not pulling anything. If they're picked, it's simply because they are the 8th team and they keep them from getting torn apart, so then they can go do something like bring in some football-only schools. Something. I don't know. So that's what I was saying. Like, if we see it happen, just hold that in for a little bit and see what the next shoe is to fall, because there's no way I can believe that they're going to 8 with Sacramento State and then that's it. For everything you just said.
I'll bottle it back up. Bottling up. Here, let's get to the super chat, man.
Antoine Codes with a $5 super chat. I have to lose 14 more pounds to get listed on the heart transplant list. Trying to lose the weight by 10-14 before my next cardiology appointment. You and your family are in my prayers, Antoine. I'm going to go ahead and post your GoFundMe here in the chat.
Heck yeah.
If anybody, hopefully that works. Said hopefully that worked. Yep, that worked. If you've got the resources and you want to help him out, please consider giving to his GoFundMe. Let's help get Antoine a new heart. He needs one. His family needs him. So let's make that happen, people. If at all possible, let's get that to happen. Hopefully you lose that 14 pounds, man. Keep working on it, Antoine. Don't ever give up. Keep fighting. Let's get to some more comments here. The Big East kicked out. This is from a USF Bull.
This is the one I saw. Yep.
The Big East kicked out USF, Cincy, and Temple. I don't want to go back.
I get it. But, realignment makes for strange bedfellows.
It sure does.
What do you say to that? Like, to the fan who's a USF fan who went through that. And I get it. But if it means you're continuing to upgrade and improve and get more and be better set to maybe then get another upgrade to where you really want to be in the future, look, I know USF fans have their hearts set on the ACC. They think the ACC is going to lose a bunch of schools and they're going to get picked to replace. And maybe that's true. But I think we're also seeing that via the House settlement situation, that's being delayed. I think that's why this G5 chaos is starting as soon as it is. They realized the stuff at the P level isn't going to happen before 26, before all these things happen, before the PAC becomes no more. Like they had to move. And so I think you're kind of in a position where you might be for like 5 years and then you move. Who knows? I don't know. But realignment makes for strange bedfellows. I don't know.
So now Sacramento State is
Don't.
I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. His face just stopped being red. Are you sure you want to go back there?
Shonsky says, I don't
It really is
understand
upsetting. Just don't even talk about this. Like, I'm
why any
serious.
teams want to
don't
move
talk about
anyway
this.
unless there's a guarantee of something. CFP still the same. And where's more money coming from? Sacramento State.
Like if you're a Beaver fan, oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys.
Good question. Daniel Gygax, does anyone know the last time a conference merged? I can't find it.
Okay, Greg. So we got to. The mergers never happened. And no, he's right. And I don't actually think that we're going to have a conference merger. You'd have to have like equal values, your median values. If it was going to happen, I think it would have already happened. I think we would have seen the AAC and the Mountain West merge. But the bottom was just too big, too deep. So I don't think we have had a merger, have we? They talked about it in the FCS. Was it ASUN and yeah, I don't even know the other
I
one.
feel like if
They
you
tried to do it and it failed.
I feel like if you go back, the ACC merged with someone to become the ACC.
I thought they just some of the schools.
I don't know.
left.
That's a trivia question. You guys look that up, and we'll make it a trivia question. Oresco wanted. This is from Justin R., the USF Bulls fan. Oresco wanted to have teams in all 4 time zones when the AAC first started, but San Diego State, Boise, Colorado State, and San Jose State did not want to make that jump.
That's why they named it what they named it. That was the whole idea from the start. I mean, this stuff's not new. They kind of know things are coming. They wanted to be the gatekeeper. They wanted to be the one that you had to come here in order to go up, type of thing. Just didn't quite work out for them.
Uncle Filthy again says it was 8 to 9 million. They moved to 30 million. The 14 was we're doing this because we need to price. This year was supposed to be 8 to 9.
I'm sure if I would have saw when he said that, I'd know what the contract
He's
was.
referring to the scheduling agreement between the Mountain West and the Pac-12.
The price gouging offer.
Oh,
The Mountain West through the PAC.
that was nice. And just so someone posted in post, the ASUN and the SWAC at the FCS level, they tried to merge, and it actually kind of didn't work. So.
Jamie Thornton says, I love the idea of the Mountain West Conference going after Northern Illinois and Toledo. I would try and get those Dakota schools to move up as well with them.
Jamie's been talking about Northern Illinois for a while. I will say that. She has been on top of that one.
Keep your hands off my Maction.
She's wanted that blood for a while now.
And Maction's good stuff.
Ryan Willie says, would UConn consider the ACC if they implode? I think UConn's going to get a shot at the Big 12 before the ACC implodes.
No, Moan.
It's going to happen.
Does not belong in the Big 12.
March Madness.
UConn Husky fans, sorry,
UConn
we don't want
to
you.
the
Sorry,
Big 12.
Oof.
I don't want UConn.
UConn.
I know that some do. I know that KU fans. I know Vox and a lot of our folks. I get it. It's really the battle of the heart of the Big 12. Are we going to be a basketball? We're going to be the new Big East, or we're going to be a football juggernaut? I want a football juggernaut.
Daniel Gygax says, Becky, not as much as you think. It's more talk from the Sacto Sports radio station, and it was the morning show guy that started the rumor. As the lyrics of a great song want, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need.
But it was the Sacramento State administrators that said that they were building the stadium. So you might have extrapolated, but they are actually doing that.
Vox Quindaro says the mascot is a Sacramento State bureaucrat.
It's a really well done comment. I was actually thinking about saying
Let 'em
something like,
cook.
why
Let
Sacramento
'em
State?
cook.
Well, they have all of California's money, so why wouldn't you want them?
Here we go. The more you know.
Sacramento State.
We're gonna find that here. We gotta find the name for Sac State. What's their name? Are they the Dragons?
Rumbling CD says, can Montana fund a $60 million athletic department?
Herky the Hornet.
I mean, like we were talking earlier, I don't know the answer to that, but their subsidization level numbers in the FCS, they might be the lowest, if not they're one of the top 4 lowest. They, quite frankly, it's just not fair for them down here. They're like the Alabama of FCS. But they're so far ahead of everyone else in terms of the amount of money they bring in from their fans, their supporters, their boosters. There's a lot of money in Montana, folks. There just is.
All right, just a quick update. Virginia Tech and Miami are knotted up at 14, but Virginia Tech scored that touchdown in the second quarter, so the parlay is still on. Washington is ahead of Rutgers 3-0. About 4 minutes left in the first quarter.
Okay.
Daniel Gygax says it's the Hornets. It's the Sacramento State Hornets.
Yep, the Hornets. Herky the Hornet, guys. That's the name of the mascot.
Herky?
Herky
Get
the
outta here.
Hornet.
Never mind.
Seriously.
Never mind.
Yeah, your
not-
mascot's named Herky too, right?
You think you're triggered. There cannot be another FBS program with a Herky mascot. It's just, yeah. Sorry, Sacramento State, you're not getting the invite anymore.
From Becky Go Huskies, Texas State, North Texas, UTEP, and New Mexico State are the top Pac-12 targets. But if Sacramento State is all that prevents them from being a conference, they will take them.
Yeah.
There you go, you.
I mean, Texas State, I think, is the play because you get recruiting grounds and you get into a new state footprint. Like we said before, you're not going to get ratings at any of these ads. So I think that the play is going into Texas and grabbing someone. Yeah, North Texas win. I guess like it's just flip a coin or
Do they
draw a
want
straw.
Do they want the logistics of like being the only Texas school in like every single sport, every single time you have an away game, you're always flying out to the mountain or Pacific time zones? Every single sport for every single kid, when they come back home, they're always losing that 1 to 2 hours. I mean, maybe the answer is yes. I don't know. I find it very hard to believe that a Texas school all alone would be willing to go and be part of that. It's quite, but maybe Texas State is that, willing to really kind of step up and step out that they would do it.
Rumbling CD says, no, you nutter. I don't know what that's in reference to. The fact that he used the
That's
term
pretty
nutter,
good.
I just
Right, you got to show it.
No, you nutter.
No, you nutter. Oh, man.
Shonsky says, you're wrong, Immaculate. Adding FCS wasn't part of the equation when UNLV didn't move like planned. It became a failure, and now it's a mess.
I think so. That makes me right.
That makes you a nutter.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Got a super chat here from Vox Quindaro, $99.99.
Fox dropping the bomb.
Student athletes? Maybe, if it plays.
Student athletes. Oh, that is brilliant, sir.
Nice.
Speaking of comedy movies, let's do this one.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. So what's the problem?
I don't know.
Everyone love everyone, Jackie Moon. Yes. ELE. Everyone love everyone. Spumoni.
I feel like there's like secret
Spumoni.
code going on between Moan and Vox right now.
No
Yeah,
Spumoni.
exactly. Like, yeah, what's the background for everyone love?
Like they're like this with each other right now.
I know. They're in the zone here.
I
Vox, we need
love
some context,
comedy.
my
I love
man.
comedy.
He's going
movies
into
we
it. He
can
knows
quote.
exactly what Fox is saying to him. I'm like, all right, good job.
got
99
it.
is
He's
awesome.
talking about, Semi-Pro, the Will Ferrell movie. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Did you call me a jive turkey? I called you a cocksucker.
Hmm.
We all heard it. He wouldn't use the term jive turkey. I promise. Come on, we're all friends here, guys.
Yes, we are.
Thank you for that super chat, Vox Pandaro.
Thank
That will
you,
definitely
Vox.
help us keep the lights on here, keep us in high cotton and good whiskey. And, much appreciated, sir. He says Chevy Chase was the only thing wrong with Caddyshack. I hate Ty. I will get a soundbite on here of Rodney Dangerfield farting and blaming it on a duck. or we will get Bill Murray saying, you got a pool over there? Got a pool and a pond. Pond be good for you. That has Chevy in it too. So
Look, Vox
I am
is
shocked.
a KU guy, and going back to this UConn conversation, KU fans are very supportive of UConn, and also Arizona, very supportive of UConn and those communities. I get it and everything. That UConn battle will rage on into next year and everything for the heart of the Big 12, but I do understand it. Like from a KU perspective, adding UConn's a big deal. And everything, and just lifting the games and everything, getting into New York. I mean, there is reasons for it and everything. It's just for like my Utah Utes and stuff where we're not focusing on basketball. It's a tough sell. Same thing for Iowa State. Same thing for Colorado, Arizona State. It's just really weird to see where this conference goes and everything with UConn.
all right, guys, we got about 5 to 10 more minutes left. I'm going to try and fly through some of these if we can. Remember, part of the deal with the Mountain West teams coming to the Pac-12 is they get equal say in where the conference goes. That was key. So if it does happen, they did this too. All parties are guilty.
Yep, they do. It's that 6 teams, the 6 schools, they have a partnership, and what's kind of crazy about that is that partnership goes back to when those 4 schools were still in the Mountain West. There was some little bit of dirty dealings going on, and as dirty as that might be to some, that also means that those schools are pretty close in order to do that. So I think that they're a pretty strong block.
Let's see, Paul Lubke, I hope I pronounced that right, says Idaho and Washington State campuses are like 7 miles apart.
That's so wild.
Yeah, super, super close. Moscow, Idaho.
Idaho is a strange state.
It's a great state. Boise's a great city.
Absolutely. It's just the way it's shaped, and then like in order to get from down there in Boise up to Moscow, and it's an interesting place.
Shonsky says UConn absolutely deserves the Big 12.
I'm curious, where the Cougars really land on that, Shonsky. I mean, maybe that really is no brainer. I know that Bomber's not supportive. He's not supportive of UConn, so it seems like amongst the BYU fan base, it's more of a mixed bag on if UConn is in again in the Ute fan base. I don't think I've heard anyone supportive of adding UConn. Maybe we're the problem.
I think BYU wants to be a big time basketball program, and look, right now UConn are the all-stars. Like they already got Kansas, they got Arizona to deal with. You bring in one more, top tier type program, and that's just one more for BYU to have to jump over. So I think they want to be that for the Big 12. So I kind of get it, I guess.
Moen named the top 5 teams on the hot seat: Dave Aranda, Billy Napier, Scott Satterfield, Ryan Walters, and Kirk Ferentz.
No, unfortunately.
Laura Weiss says Texas State gets the San Antonio and Austin area for recruiting.
100%. That's why you do it.
Yeah,
Sac State gets your Herky. Sac State gets your
get them
Herky.
to say yes.
Vox Quindaro says I am shot. Lorenzo Haynes says, "Love me sexy." Bah, bah, bah.
I'm sure glad that you got that one. Sometimes that's
Uh,
the kind of comment that sometimes you'd be like, huh?
I think Moa needs the hat that Judge was wearing. You buy a hat like that and you get a free bowl of soup, but it looks good on you. Don't tell them you're Jewish, Wanger. They won't let you in here. Porterhouse. I want this wax cleaned off of there and polished with a fine chamois. Chop, chop. Judge
I
Smith.
feel like Moen and Box could have a movie show, and they would just be able to
Definitely.
go on.
I think they could have a whole
Oh,
show.
I could quote Caddyshack all day.
No
That's
kidding.
I've got the definitive Caddyshack for quotes, so I've got it. KU is for Utah and BYU, but we're also for supporting your mark. At some point, Big 12 leadership needs to give him UConn. I agree. After March Madness, UConn joins the Big 12.
Moen is adamant about this. He's adamant about this. It's going to be a battle still. It's not a no-brainer. It won't ever be a no-brainer. Can you get the votes, though?
He's lost twice.
UCF does not want this, though, guys. That's what I've heard. UCF and Utah, and I'm not sure ASU. Seems like
I think
ASU
that's
might push back.
wild that UCF does not want their former rival back.
And Cincinnati apparently has some bad blood too with UConn.
I just
I
think
don't
they remember getting it handed to them in basketball over and over.
Maybe the Big 12. Yeah.
And the travel, getting up there is just not fun. Like I've been to Connecticut. I wouldn't want to go there either.
It's a great state. It's clean, great seafood up there.
I mean, if you're from
I actually
there,
like
it's
Connecticut
great.
a lot. I mean,
If you're from there, it's great. I wouldn't want if my teams, I wouldn't want to have to get them up there and deal with everything. It's just so hectic.
and and culturally, think about the culture of the people of Connecticut and then the Midwest, right? And the mountains. It just doesn't seem fit. But you'd have to add more northern wing schools to get that culturally to fit better. And maybe that's part of the master plan too, right?
I just like the fact that you said Connecticut's a very clean state. What are some dirty states? While we're at it, let's go ahead and alienate some states here. Who are dirty states?
UConn's a very nice, clean state.
Nice,
great
clean
restaurants.
state. Yes.
I like Connecticut. Connecticut's a great place. Go visit Connecticut.
I'll name one. I'll
Yeah.
name a dirty state.
Okay.
Illinois.
Oh man, that was cold-blooded. Chicago's dirty, but the rest of Illinois is great.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know there was any other parts of it. There's the rest of it just does what Chicago says.
Yeah. It's just like Iowa. It's corn in one big city.
That's a little Iowa hate right there. I'll admit it. I lived literally right on the border, so.
I hate the state of
little
Michigan,
trash.
but I wouldn't go that far to call it a dirty state.
No, actually, Michigan's quite a beautiful state. It's got a couple dirty cities, but
Vox Quindaro says the Citronauts are going to have to take a backseat to placate the Yormark brothers.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, Bray Ormark is going to have more influence than UCF in the room. 100%.
Town Hawk says $72 beers do nothing for me. $72, they better do
except
something
make
to
it
you.
poor.
Where's a $72 beer? Is that in Connecticut?
Probably.
That was-
that's what he's talking
Probably, yeah, probably with taxes and everything
They got
else.
some
I'm
oysters
sure.
up there.
God,
The
it's
oysters
terrible
are
up there.
phenomenal.
Vox Quindaro says dirty states, Missouri. As a Kansas fan, that shocks me that he would think that.
Yeah, right.
All the neighboring states hate the best.
about. It's true.
Okay.
See, Illini Tech gets it. Because you know what? You go ask an Illinois person about Iowa, and oh my God, they'll just go on and on and on and on. So it's all good.
Dirty state. Have you guys been to New Mexico? It's beautiful, but mad too. It's weird. No, but if I ever go to New Mexico, I am throwing a pizza on that roof. I don't care if they've got a fence up around that house. There's going to be a pizza on that roof. I think UCF doesn't want UConn because of women's basketball. UCF improved in women's basketball, and they are probably upset of getting beat by UConn for a lot of those years.
Gotta love the USF shade being thrown at UCF. I appreciate it.
There's some issues there with the old Big East schools like the Cincy's, the UConns.
Well, you
the
got to bring
UCFs.
them back together.
There's some bad blood. Yeah,
Gotta
maybe
get some-
so.
Gotta get some
Some
hate.
heat.
All right. Just give you guys a score update. Virginia Tech is now up 21-14 on Miami. Miami needs to get their shit together here, or they're going to blow my parlay. And Washington is still up 3-0 on Rutgers. So, let's do, we'll give it Sergeant Pickles saying, what's your one for the road, you?
Don't add Sacramento State. I hope that was a joke. I hope it was made up rumor and everything. I'm really hoping so. I'm rooting for the Pac-12. Go Pac-12. Go, go, go. Don't let the Mountain West bowl you anymore.
All right, Immaculate, you're one for the road.
Well, I'm kind of curious about what Becky has to say about Sacramento State. Looks like she was saying a lot. But for me, watch for this to pick right back up. But also on top of that, we just got the feedback to the House settlement situation, and it was not good. So we're expecting next week to probably hear from the judge, and I'm thinking that they're going to go to trial. So that whole situation's getting nowhere fast.
All right. I will say this. I will put the parlays up, and we will check on them, and I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter tomorrow at Mowing After Dark. I believe that Rock and Rant is going to run Mowing After Dark on Sunday this week. He did last week. He did a fantastic job. So tune into that. Follow him on Twitter at Rock and Rant. We will see you Monday for the Big Ten Mafia show with myself and Becky Go Huskies. And then we will see you Tuesday for the Big 12 Mafia show with you, myself, and we're going to have special guest Daniel Gygax back on with us. So
Nice.
I want to say thank you to everybody who contributed tonight. You guys are awesome. Let me give you another shout out here. Ricky Tungate, Antoine Codes, Devil Frog, Ryan Willie, Becky Go Huskies, Antoine Codes, and Vox Quindaro with the $99.99 super chat, reminding us that everyone loves everyone, people. ELE, that's our motto here at the Big Freaking Friday show. Thank you all so much for coming out. We will see you next week.
Go Utes.